Hello everyone, this is Trebis here with some low-level replays. We're going to be looking at a Silver League Terran vs. Zerg game today, sent to me by Nick Stew. Nick Stew sent me an email with a replay and then a nice description. So let me read his email real quick. He says, "Hi Trebis, I'm sending you this replay hoping that you can use it for your next Terran Bronze to Diamond week. I chose this one because it shows my main problem with TvZ. It seems that I cannot move out. I think my macro was decent this time, but I felt I could not deny any of his expanding. So he just got a lot of stuff and killed me. I just don't get what I should do. I feel like if he wants, he can just make a million lings and banelings and crush me as soon as I move out. And if he has mutas, I can't even drop." So first of all, thank you, Stu, for the replay with the nice description. Having that, just the description of the game and the kind of problems you're having really helps me figure out what to talk about in this video to help you out the most. And if you would like to have your replay analyzed, send me a replay to sc2noobschool@gmail.com and give me a description like Nick Stew did here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to kind of nitpick the beginning of the build. I'm not going to try to nitpick on macro issues beyond kind of the beginning because it's all been said before. Macro is important for everyone, so it's something everyone should be improving on. But concerning the very beginning here, okay, so this is a one barracks expansion, no gas. Okay, so decent, good strategy versus Zerg. He comes in, he scouts, he sees the hatchery first, and then he sees the spawning pool. I guess the very first issue here is not checking these gases, and he's not going to check these gases. But the nitpicking of the opening build here, I will start by saying this bunker doesn't even need to be here. We scouted the spawning pool. We know there aren't going to be any attacks coming yet, so at the very least, delay this bunker until after you've started the command center for sure. The other little weird thing that happens here is getting up to 17 of 19 supply, and because of this bunker and just a slight misstep in the build, this supply depot is going to be late. And there's not constant Marines coming out of this barracks. There really needs to be constant Marines coming out of this barracks. So both of the gases are going down at a pretty reasonable time. The Marine production is looking better. The one other thing I wanted to mention is this command center, I think, could very easily just be made on the high ground. That way you don't give away anything, and it will be safer that way. You can delay this bunker and all that stuff. So the first factory is going down a little bit late. Try to get the factory up right at this 100 gas mark and another barracks. And in a little bit here, we're going to see some minerals to gas imbalance, we'll say. We've got both of the orbital commands up, both of them nicely producing SCVs most of the time. That was one of the better things I saw in this replay, is lots and lots of SCV production. But there's going to be this weird imbalance of minerals like right now, where we have 700 minerals and 260 gas. The factory is out now, and the siege tanks are going to start absorbing some of that gas, but there's not going to be enough minerals or not going to be enough Marines possible to be made to spend all these minerals. So we definitely should be throwing down some more barracks quite a bit sooner than it is here. Yeah, the macro of this beginning of this build is not super solid or tight, but that's something everyone can be working on. Also, these gases are too early. There's just going to be more gas than you really need at this point. I would focus more on mineral units. Terran is actually a very mineral intensive race, so I would concentrate on saturating this mineral line a little better before you move on to getting those gases quite yet. Getting the 2 upgrades for the engineering bay is nice. These barracks are a little bit behind though, so you know, at this point having these upgrades is not gonna help you a whole lot until you have just more Marines out. So that's definitely true. Okay, so now we can start talking about scouting. We're kind of entering the mid game here, and this is where a lot of the issues that Nick mentioned in his email come to light. So the first scan goes down, and it is a beautiful scan. It's the scan that every Terran player wishes they could make. You see the layer, you get to see all the saturation on the base, but very, very importantly, you see the spire and you see a baneling nest. So that pretty much tells you instantaneously he's going Mutiling Baneling style. It might as well be broadcasted across the screen. He might as well have told you in chat. You can see exactly what he's doing. And seeing the timing of the spire is so important, and it offers a big opportunity for something that Nixdu fails to capitalize on. That opportunity that I'm seeing is that there will be both of his infantry upgrades are going to be finishing soon. Stim pack is going to be finishing soon, and he already has tanks with siege. So the timing against the spire is very obvious right now. You go in and you attack right before the spire is going to finish. Hopefully you can maybe take out either a third base or possibly just push into the second base and try to take that out. The other big thing with in terms of scouting, the scan was good, but I would try to sneak out some Marines as well and try to have a look at this third base, because that's important to see if he's taking a third base. Although you can kind of assume that it's there anyway. But knowing it's there can help you make the decision of where to attack clearly. So that's the big issue here. In terms of getting better scouting just continually throughout the game, the scan was good, but it easily could have missed tech buildings all over the place. If they had been anywhere but within the scan radius, then you still would have no idea what he's doing. I would say experiment with a Hellion opener. That's pretty much become the standard in TvZ today, is to open with reactor Hellions. You get the map control. You get to poke in at the second base at the natural, possibly get some drones, but maybe not. Maybe force a spine crawler, force another queen or two. Just kind of keep him on the back foot. You can delay the third base, and at the very worst, scout the third base, and you should have dominance over the watchtowers until there are roaches out. Lings should not be able to fight your Hellions. So you don't really have to commit to Hellions. Just make a couple, make 2 to 4 to 6. And use those for map control and use those for scouting. So I'm going to continue on here and just keep going with the knowledge in mind that this timing attack is going to get missed. Nick is not going to push out in time for having this timing attack. It makes a little bit of sense because there's not really enough units right now to make this timing attack effective, but with a better opening build order, then there would be those units. The timing against a spire like this would be like get 2 tanks with siege and then as many Marines as you have with either stim or combat shield. And there should be an opportunity there for a pretty nasty little push that will be quite hard to deal with. So we will continue on in this game. The barracks count is up higher now, so the number of Marines coming out is getting a lot better. Combat shield kind of got forgotten about for a while here, and it is a very, very important upgrade. So that's certainly an issue here. Heading towards just the Marine tank medevac style. So we pretty much have the 2 most typical builds coming out from the Terran and the Zerg player. Of course, the scouting is the biggest issue here. I think you should consider a small attack as an attack and a scout. So like a small attack could be a drop. A drop will help you scout. You get to see what kind of units he's going to send to the drop. So I would recommend doing more stuff like this. I'm not sure what exactly happened here. Why that medevac is there. I understand this drop, but I also drops like this. I call them a drop out of nowhere. They really do. They're not lined up with any kind of timing or necessarily any pressure. Although maybe I should take that back because he is moving out on the map here. So actually, I take that back. This is not necessarily a drop from nowhere, although it does get quickly and easily denied. So here's the next weird thing that happens. Nixdu pushes out right now, and he's in an odd position. He's pretty much in the middle of the map, pushing towards this gold base, or where this gold base would be, and that would be good if there was a base here, but since there's not a base here, this is pretty much the most exposed location you could be in as a Terran player. You know, Zergs want to get a giant surround on everyone, and look at all the area that they can actually use to surround. They can come from here, Lings can come from here, Lings and Banelings can come from here, Mutalisks can come from anywhere, so it's an incredibly exposed position. A better place to try to encroach would be somewhere like down here, where you've got less of an angle that someone can actually get on you. So the Zerg player goes in, he does kind of like basically a Mutalisk run by. He gets some kills, he gets a tank, a bunker, a couple medevacs. So he's doing some good damage here, but he's also taking a lot of fire from these turrets. There's been some Marines attacking these Mutalisks for quite some time now, and it would seem as though Nixdu is in a bad position here. But after this Mutalisk donation that happens here, if we actually look at the army supply, Nick is in a quite good position. He's got 103 army supply versus 65. The units lost for the Zerg player is much worse. So this is actually a good position to be in. The Terran doesn't have plans for a third. That is the only reason I would say that the Zerg player could possibly be ahead. But let's look at units. 49 SCVs to 63 drones. That's pretty even when you consider mules. So he's in a good position, and the real opportunity to do something is lost by this poor positioning right here with the tanks. Like I said, there's going to be units coming from everywhere. These tanks are exposed. They don't have any Marines covering them. A few too many Marines were sent back here to take care of the Mutalisks, but otherwise it was a good decision to split up those Marines. But having these tanks exposed, look at what's going to happen. All the tanks start firing on themselves. The Lings get a perfect surround. The Marines are not able to protect the tanks. Banelings come in and get some beautiful hits on the Marines, and it's just not going to end well. There's definitely some micro that could have been done here to make that go better. Looking at units lost now, we're certainly far behind. So that was really the biggest issue in this game, was pushing out to this spot and trying to be aggressive but not being aggressive enough. He actually should have just gone for it and pushed into probably the third base that we can kind of assume is there. Either push into this location or push in through here so that you can actually get some damage done. Drop trying to go down, but there's just not enough stuff. And the Zerg player reacts well. Finally, the third base is going down, but it's a very late third base. And if your mid-game army gets crushed as a Terran player and every single one of your tanks is gone, it's almost an unwinnable position at that point. Because the Zerg player has been able to sit back and do basically anything he's wanted this whole time. So more aggression would have actually prevented him from doing a lot of this. And here we see the Zerg players coming in with so many Zerglings with good upgrades. It's just a one-sided fight right there. So that is it. I really think scouting and lack of aggression was the biggest issue here. And for the aggression, in particular, just as a recommendation of a strategy, I would say try a Hellion opener instead. And when you see things like this, when you get a big signal like this, that can be a great piece of information to tell you when to go attack. And you got to utilize that information that you can get. Okay, that will be it for this low-level replay. If you'd like to have your replay analyzed, send me a email with a description of the game to sc2noobschool@gmail.com and come join me on my nightly stream. Going to be streaming some Diablo 3, possibly some StarCraft, and whatever else seems fun. Come say hi to me in chat, and I will see you guys next time. GG!